news, everybody! Vancouver finally has a podcast festival, and I went to it. Check it out. Hey everybody, it's Kurt Long. Thanks for tuning in to I Don't Speak Canadian. Very special episode here for me. I'm a podcast fan. I love podcasts. I listen to loads and loads and loads of them. I put the headphones on and ignore my family all day listening to podcasts. It's really a problem, and I really have to seek therapy about it. But I love podcasts so much that when I heard that Vancouver had a podcast festival, I said, I have to go check this out. I've been to a bunch of podcast festivals before. In fact, I've had two podcasts of my own. My friend Joey Bragg and I, we have a podcast called Dudes of Future Past, and my buddy Jamie Kaler and I had a sports farce comedy sort of show called Do Your Pod, and both big successes, because you've heard of them. But no, they're, I love the art form. I love the freedom it gives you. I love the idea that you could just put down something out there, kind of like what I'm doing here. This is basically a video podcast, this YouTube channel, but a little bit more structured. But anyway, I've been to a bunch of podcast festivals in Los Angeles, LA Podcast Festival. It's been a great time, and it's a great place for people to congregate who like to see the shows live. They get to meet the people who are podcasting. They get to find out about the technology involved, all that kind of stuff. So I was a little surprised to hear such a big metropolis like Vancouver is only having their very first one this year. And so when I read about it, I said, I'm going. It was a 3-day festival. I only got to go to one day, but it was a great time, and I got to go to a live podcast. And you know what? I'm going to throw it to the Vancouver Public Library, where we magically will interview one of the great podcasters who was there, Hannah McGregor, who was hosting her own live podcast called Secret Feminist Agenda, amongst other podcasts that she does and other duties. So here we go to the Vancouver Public Library. McGregor, what a great podcaster, what a great host, organizer of the podcast festival. I got to talk to her. Hannah, how are you? Thank you so much for talking to me. Who are you?
I am an assistant professor of publishing at Simon Fraser University. My original podcast is called Witch Please. It's a feminist podcast about the Harry Potter world. I'm the host of the Harry Potter Podfest.
You're also one of the organizers of the Vancouver Podcast Festival. So tell me how that came to be.
Yeah, so I was invited by Andrea Warner and Andrea Jin, who are local podcasters as well. They make an amazing feminist pop culture podcast called Pop This.
Okay.
And it was their idea. They were already involved with the documentary film festival, DOXA, and it was their idea that Vancouver, has a thriving podcasting scene, so why doesn't it have a podcasting festival? So they brought me on to help with the programming side of things, and then DOXA's doing all of the organizational side of things, which was amazing because they are experienced festival organizers, and so they knew how to, get a new arts festival up and running, and then we helped sort of figure out how to program it.
No offense, but the United States has been doing podcasts for a long time. So what took Vancouver so long to get their own podcast festival? Is it just that you wanted to do it correctly?
I think podcast festivals have a certain challenge to them because they're a medium-specific thing, and so I think what you really need to do is reach out to the community of people who make podcasts, but the default assumption is that you're looking for an audience who consume podcasts, and that's actually not quite the right thinking with a podcast
You want to
festival.
convert people to listen to podcasts.
You want to convert people to listen to podcasts, and you want to find
that
people
sounds like it's a religion or
who,
a cult.
I mean, it kind of is, though, isn't it? It's like a little culty. But you also want to find the people who are making podcasts, and there's tons of those people in Vancouver, but prior to this festival they haven't necessarily known each other, and so one of the things that the festival does is start to bring the community together, but it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing, right? You have to make the event to bring the community together, but the event's not obvious if the community hasn't already
not aware of
come
it,
together.
And how did the Vancouver Public Library get involved as a host site for this the inaugural event?
No, the partnership came about really organically because Pop This, Andrea Jin and Andrea Warner's podcast, is recorded here.
Oh,
because
fantastic.
Vancouver Public Library has a really incredible thing they call the Inspiration Lab,
Right.
which has, amongst many other resources, really high-quality sound booths that you can rent out for free.
Is that part of the socialist thing in
it's
Canada?
totally part of the socialist thing
Can
in
I,
Canada.
as an American, take a part of that? If I'm a permanent resident?
Do you have an address?
I have an address.
You can get a library card. You
apply
can use
for
the
my permanent
Inspiration
resident-
Lab.
I can use that.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I talked over you.
Yeah,
Say that again.
No. It's
Say
okay.
that
If
again.
you-
I'm just so
if you,
excited.
If you have an address, you can get a library card, and if you have a library card, you can use the Inspiration Lab.
Socialism works! See, America, it's not such a bad word. You know, there are a lot of great things socialism does. What is the hope for this festival?
We want to keep partnering with the library and keep a lot of stuff really low barrier to access, so a lot of free programming, a lot of opportunities for local podcasts to do their first live shows, that kind of thing. And so we'd like to build more connections with local podcasters, find out more about, maybe people we didn't know about this year, but maybe who will reach out to us now because we did the first year of the festival.
Right.
And then we want to keep, we have some creator-geared sort of workshop stuff. We're going to keep building up that element.
Great.
And then we want to keep bringing in really exciting live shows.
Very nice. And why the true crime theme?
Well, we were thinking, we should have a theme for the first year to sort of help us figure out how to program it.
Canadians are so creative.
We love
I love it.
we love a theme. And socialism.
And socialism.
Yeah, with themes and socialism.
Yes.
But we thought, what's the by miles the most popular genre of podcasts, right? It's true crime.
True crime is
and
very
so
big.
you want to sort of start off with something that's going to bring people in. True crime seemed like the way to go, and we're excited. I have a pitch that I'm going to make for the theme for next year, but I don't want to say what it is. But
You don't want to give me a scoop?
We're already starting to think about sort
Okay.
of what the theme might be for next year, and sort of using the theme as a really good way to figure out who you're going to reach out to and who you're going to bring in.
Now, is there a future for podcasts in Canada?
Like, they're only going to keep growing, right? CBC, our national broadcaster, has really embraced them, and so they're producing a huge amount of incredible podcasts, and then the indie scene is really strong.
Maybe I Don't Speak Canadian could be a podcast. Would you be on it?
I mean, go pitch it and
I'm
find
pitching
out.
it. I'm pitching it. Fantastic.
Thank you, Hannah McGregor. Make sure you check her out. She's got a great podcast, Secret Feminist Agenda. She's also got Witch Please, which is a feminist look at the Harry Potter world, which I have not been able to listen to yet, but I think it's pretty amazing that's out there. And she's also, she's got many things going on. But check her out at HKP McGregor on all the social medias. Tell her you heard about her here on I Don't Speak Canadian. Here's a little thing. Now, I know Canada's a little behind on the podcast festival thing, but did you know this? Little tidbit. In 2006, the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper of Canada, was the very first head of state to have his own podcast. Huh? So Canada, you got that on America. But otherwise, podcasting does seem to be a very American art form in its bones. It's a me, talk about what I like, what I think about, and hear my thoughts, just like I'm doing right here, right now. I'm an American, so maybe as I continue to become more and more Canadian, I will just shut off the camera. But until then, we hope to see you next time right here on I Don't Speak Canadian. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. We went to the Hopscotch Festival, which is a bunch of booze. You can see me and my friend Ben Wilkinson drinking a bunch of booze and trying a bunch of things out. Really fun. Canadians like to drink. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. They like to have a good time. And then I also have a couple other videos coming up. And I'm going to the Vancouver, the Whistler Film Festival this week. I got a press pass. They're bringing me up there. I'm going to talk to some directors, see a lot of films, talk about Canadian role in films, about the government funding of films. All that kind of stuff is coming up right here on I Don't Speak Canadian. So don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Adios, hosers. What do you think, Trudeau? How was that? Oh, it's true.